We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Nicole Byer, helping you make those rooms flyer. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild! Like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Ooh, fierce! This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Okay, so we've got a pretty fascinating set of search terms in front of us today. Seems like a lot of people are really keyed in on some earthquake activity.
Yeah, definitely looks like something's shaking things up, literally.
Right.
What?
And specifically, it seems like, Myanmar is the center of attention here, but with a definite concern about Thailand as well.
Yeah, that's a really interesting connection that pops up right away, just looking at these search terms. I mean, Myanmar and Thailand are appearing together a lot. So right off the bat, you have to wonder, is there some kind of link between a seismic event and these two countries?
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's exactly what we're going to try to unpack in this deep dive. We're starting with just these little breadcrumbs, these, who, what, when, where kind of questions. But the goal is to really dig in and see if we can understand what's really going on here. So one of the searches that really jumps out at me right away is 7.7 earthquake Myanmar. 7.7, that's pretty huge. That's got to be a major event, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you see a magnitude like that, you're talking about a major earthquake.
Definitely capable of causing some serious damage, especially, when you consider the region we're talking about, where the Indian and Eurasian plates meet. That's a very seismically active zone. Right. And then you see that reflected in some of the other searches too, right? Like Myanmar, Thailand earthquake, just Thailand. So clearly people are making that connection and wondering, okay, if there was this big earthquake in Myanmar, did Thailand feel it? Did it have any impact there?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very natural thought process, I think, to have when you hear about a significant earthquake, especially in a region like Southeast Asia where countries are relatively close together.
Absolutely. And we also see some specific places mentioned, like Mandalay in Myanmar, and then Bangkok in Thailand. So is that, were those cities particularly affected? Or are they just, because they're such major population centers, people just naturally think of them?
I think it's probably a bit of both, right? Mandalay, just geographically speaking, being, closer to a potential epicenter in Myanmar would be more likely to experience stronger shaking.
Right.
And then you have Bangkok, which is the capital of Thailand, a huge city. So it's natural that when news of any kind of regional earthquake comes up, that people's minds immediately go to Bangkok and what the potential impact could be there.
Right. And of course everybody wants the latest information. You see that in the searches too, right? Earthquake today, Myanmar earthquake today, earthquakes today. It's like, what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's a natural human response. You want to know what's happening. You want to know, are things still shaking? Is there any danger?
Exactly. And I think that also kind of leads to the next thing that really jumps out from these searches, which is the concern about the impact.
Yeah.
Like the human impact, right? You see things like Myanmar, Thailand earthquake death toll. Yeah. Thailand, Myanmar earthquake death toll. It's like, how many people have been affected by this? How many people,
It's a sad reality, right?
Yeah.
But after a major earthquake, those are the questions that naturally come to mind, and it's understandable.
Absolutely.
These are powerful events that can have a devastating effect on people's lives.
No, one of the other terms that I noticed in the search is tsunami, and I think that's interesting because it raises a question. If we're talking about a potential earthquake in Myanmar, what does that mean for Thailand in terms of tsunami risk?
That's a great point. It's important to understand the connection between earthquakes and tsunamis. Typically, when we think about tsunamis, we think about those very, very large underwater earthquakes, the ones that displace huge amounts of water and create those massive waves.
Right.
So if we're imagining an earthquake that's inland in Myanmar, the likelihood of that directly causing a major tsunami that would impact Thailand is probably lower.
Okay.
But it's always a good idea, to stay informed, to to check official sources because these things, these geological events, can be very complex, and there can be cascading effects that we might not immediately think of.
Right, right. And speaking of official sources, I mean, that's another thing that really comes through in these searches is the desire for reliable information. You see things like USGS earthquakes, USGS earthquake map. What makes the USGS such a go-to source in these kinds of situations?
Well, the USGS, the United States Geological Survey, I mean, they're really the gold standard when it comes to monitoring and reporting on seismic activity worldwide.
Right.
They provide this really, really valuable data that's standardized, it's scientifically validated. You're getting information on the magnitude, the location, the depth of earthquakes, and their maps are incredible for visualizing what's happening, seismically. So I think, when people are searching for USGS, they're really looking for that trusted source of information.
Right, right. And finally, you see a couple of other searches in here that I think speak to the broader interest in this story. Things like video and world news.
Yeah.
It's like people want to see this. They want to see footage. They want to see, how the world is reacting to this event.
Oh, absolutely. It's natural to want to see and hear those firsthand accounts and to get that broader context of how this is all playing out, on a global scale.
Yeah, yeah. So if we take all of these threads together, what we're really seeing here is a really strong interest in this potential earthquake, potentially major earthquake in Myanmar, and then the ripple effects from that. Like what does that mean for Thailand? Are there impacts there? People are interested in the specific places involved. They want to know, what's happening right now. They're concerned about the human toll. And they're looking for trusted sources of information.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? I mean, you see how quickly people's minds go from this event in one country to the potential consequences in a neighboring country. Yeah. And it really speaks to our interconnectedness in a way. In today's world where information travels so fast, events like this really highlight that sense of shared awareness and perhaps even shared anxiety about natural disasters.
Yeah. It's really interesting to think about how these events, they might start in one place, but they really do have the potential to touch us all in some way. Well, that's definitely something to think about.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Nicole Byer, helping you make those rooms flyer. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild! Like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Ooh, fierce! This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.